we go again.
Ace Kennedy, my brother from another mother.
What's good, bro?
Got a quick question for you, man.
What's up?
If somebody was gonna pay you $20 million, right? $20 million, and all you had to do was to pick one of your friends to beat in a 40-yard dash, which one of your partners are you picking out to go ahead and smoke in a 40-yard dash?
I'm probably gonna go with Shane.
The Shane the Ginger?
Yeah.
Wow, you just picking on Red, huh?
He would probably say the same thing.
Right. Why do y'all think each other so slow then?
I don't know that we think that. I'm just going through the list of my homeboys, and that's just I'd be here all day trying to think of somebody. So
So you think Shane would be the easiest one?
yeah,
Easy money.
big target right there.
You know, now that I think about the easiest one, I think I could pick several
Mm-hmm.
that would get that smoke. But if I'm gonna keep it a stack, the easiest one that I think, and I could be wrong, I'm calling out Boney the Cockaroo. The bad guy, you can come get this smoke. It's easy money. I think, bro, he been doing this comedy thing, and I don't think they're running a 40-yard dash today is anywhere on his agenda for things to do. So if we had to line it up right now for a guarantee, I'm smoking the bad guy in that 40-yard dash, though.
Hey, I ain't mad at that pick.
Very easy. Let's get that music going. We got some things to talk about, though, bro.
All right.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Brotherz podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Brotherz podcast, the greatest podcast.
If you
of all time.
smell what the rock. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Hey, listen, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the Slash Brothers YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok page. We're live on both platforms at the same time. Whenever you click on a notification, you click on the bell, you get the heads up whenever your boys is doing a thing. Ace Kennedy. Hey, man. I'm dying to hear what you think about something, bro.
What's up?
I saw a recent picture of The Rock at some event,
Mm-hmm.
and the boy Rock looked like he is about 200 pounds, maybe. That's on a good day. 200 pounds. Now, when we last saw The Rock as the final boss, he was in the gym, had the weights clanging and banging, and he
Mhm.
was looking like he was about 265, 275. And now he's cut down so much so. And he said that this was in an effort of not being typecasted for Hollywood, right?
Mhm.
Um, what say you about this?
Um, it's sad for me because he's taking the Dave Batista approach. Dave Batista. Most folks were last remember him as Groot. I mean, not as Groot, but uh, oh my gosh, Drax, the Destroyer, in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he was super super huge. And but he was saying the same thing, like, look, I want to be taken more serious in roles. I don't want to just be the action guy. And I don't know. I feel like The Rock is The Rock, right? I don't think that whether he's slim down or he's big, that would keep him from any roles. I just think that, there it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, even Chris Hemsworth, right? He bulks up even more to play Thor, but then he's a little bit slimmer for when he's doing regular roles. Like when he was in Men in Black, he wasn't as big as he was as Thor.
True.
So, and I'm sure, if he needed to get back up that big, he knows how to do it. Like he has a phenomenal trainer, and but then you got to think his stunt double got to do the same thing. Like it's a process. So I don't know. Like I said, I just think that part of him being that big is his identity. I think that when he was Little Rock, when he was in like Tooth Fairy and stuff like that, when he was the heel Rock on wrestling, he was that small. It's not gonna take away his personality, but I do think that that big build though was definitely a part of his personality.
So let me tell you why I think that this is a little scary for me, right? Because I did see Dave Batista, and he looked very slim. Not gonna say very slim, but he was much, because when he was wrestling, Batista was almost 300 pounds. When he was Deacon Batista, he was yoked, right? And
Mhm.
so I did see him kind of go through where he was cutting up some of that though, right? And then he got down to probably about 275, very much like the last time we saw Rock. And now Batista, when I saw him, he looks so much more slimmer. And maybe that's more healthier for him if he's not looking to, do any of those kind of roles or whatnot, though, right? Um, and I understand that it's kind of weird because if you're The Rock, you came in and almost all of your roles have been you being that kind of guy. And I almost feel like when you got into acting seriously, like you got in playing that role, being one of those guys and everything like that. So to kind of move away from it, I guess I can kind of understand that at this point in your career, when you say, well, I want to just do something else, that's one thing. And if this helps basically with you not necessarily being casted for you being like a superhero again, then I get that completely. Here's one of the things that I think that's very alarming about this. So maybe about 2 to 3 months ago, right? I saw a video on TikTok where somebody said, "Hey, listen, FYI, I think that The Rock has a bad heart issue. Like he has something going on health wise, right?
Mhm.
And that he was like, and I think that it's from them boys kind of being on the juice, basically, though, right? And he was like, and he said, don't be surprised. And this was maybe 2 to 3 months ago. This is definitely early summer. He said, don't be surprised that because of this, that Rock falls back on being on the juice, basically. And you see the Rock start to be like half of what he looked like because his heart basically was having it was in such a bad condition from all of the usage of it over the years that he's going to cut down. It's like, you know what? Whatever. And so when I saw The Rock being that slim, it's immediately where I was going. I was like, y'all, I should have saved the
Mhm.
video if I didn't already send it to you, because he said that, yeah, that's kind of the pivot for a lot of these wrestlers like Dave Batista. He was basically saying that, they might say whatever that the reasons why they're doing it for acting, whatever, but they was like, yeah, usually that happens and these guys are having some serious medical issues. And so you see like with Triple H having also not slimmed down to where some of those guys are, but Triple H, he's barely, over in barely into his 50s, and he also has some heart issues as well, though, man. And so a lot of these older wrestlers who are up there, getting up there in age, though, man. So this guy would say you'll start to see them slim down as if they're not active, so that muscle isn't necessarily needed. The only way I would find that to be contrary, though, bro, is if The Rock turned around and got back swole up, though, man, because he looked little, man. Rock looks like he's not even 200 pounds now, bro.
Yeah. That's him now, bro.
And I can't even tell if that looks. I mean, listen, if I didn't
But
see
here's the
him
thing, though,
so
right?
yoked up, I wouldn't know that that's health. I couldn't tell. Like he looks healthy, right? But I don't know. He looks also like a sickly healthy because I'm used to
We're
seeing
not
him
used to
being
seeing him
twice
that
his
big,
size.
but that's the thing. Cena did the same thing for a minute, though. Cena got that slim like that, and he was super cut. Let me see if I can find that picture. Yeah,
I
he
would
got.
imagine that The Rock has to be very cut up though, right? He's
Oh
still
yeah,
got
yeah,
to
yeah,
have
yeah.
some muscle.
Yeah, there was definitely a cut. A
All
cut.
pause, but I would have to see him with his shirt off for me to tell how healthy he is, though, bro.
Let me see.
Like that tells me everything. Like when we saw John Cena lose that, we saw John Cena look like he probably shedded maybe 30 pounds, though, bro. And you can still tell he had the John Cena physique. It was just smaller, right?
Yeah.
This Rock looks like he is just like all cardio, no weights, though, bro. And like I said,
Nah,
he
nah.
could very
They
well
have a
be even.
they got a
Mhm.
picture of Cena. They got a picture of Cena super slim. I mean, a picture of Rock super slim. But yeah, see,
Yeah,
he's not as big, and yeah. But let me show you. Let me show you.
that John Cena doesn't look as eye catching, surprisingly, as The Rock, though.
Okay, well, let me show you the picture of Rock, uh, with the shirt off, slim.
Because I haven't seen The Rock. Like I said, I follow him on the gram, but
Hmm.
I haven't seen anything post up for me to see him progressively getting this small. It just literally looks like he rolled out of bed one day and was half the size, though, bro.
Hmm. Man, I know I seen. Yeah, I don't see the. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. This one will work. Come on now, get to the picture. That ain't even. Okay, this. Here we go. All right, there we go. That's the picture I was looking for. Here we go. Boom. Close that. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to zoom all the way in on that.
Yeah.
He's not that. Listen, he's not that. That can't be the same picture,
It
same Rock physique. That dude is way bigger.
he no. Like this ain't what I'm saying is this is much smaller than what we saw at the final boss, bro. He's down on size, but he is cut up still though. Like he still got the huh?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but that doesn't look like the same Rock in the street clothes size. That's a whole different size. That's a whole different physique, bro.
Well, I would have you go on. Yeah, you would have to just because I mean, he even though he's slim though, he's still cut up though. And he is supposedly preparing for a movie though. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could see, I guess I can kind of see him getting a little smaller, man. Like I'm looking at this video of him, right? I don't know if you can see it. All right, so this looks like he is pretty slim on this, right?
Hmm.
Slimmer in the final boss, but still, like I'm talking about how big he got to play Black Adam. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the big, but even then, man, like I'm watching him and I see him getting a little slimmer. But dang though, boy, it's just tough to man, I don't know, bro.
Yeah. But why we talking entertainment, bro? Let's stay on what you think about this Jake Paul tank fight.
The Jake Paul, what now?
Tank fight.
I mean, I listen. I thought it was a troll. I didn't even know it was a real thing.
No, it's real. And Tank's gonna get paid. Like I think the talks are around him making like 100 million off of this fight.
And so, all right, so here we go, man. If you tank, why would you ever go back to boxing for real, right?
Because he's I
Because if
mean,
it's
go
because
ahead.
I understand he's the champion, right? But here's my thing. It's almost like anybody else. It's like if you get a UFC fight, it's like when you go ahead and you say Conor McGregor,
Hmm.
right? We're gonna have you go out here and fight Floyd Mayweather. and let's say you go ahead and you make $100 million, the most money you've ever made in a fight. Floyd sure would have made more money, but let's say you made 100. It's hard for you to go back to the UFC and tell Dana, yeah, I'm gonna accept your $2 million for the fight. It's hard to go into camp. It's hard for you to get all that back in your guts after you just made 100. So if you're Tank, and for this exhibition, if you're gonna make 100 M's on it, and I'm pretty sure there's always like the Mike Tyson stipulations where you're not gonna be able to do certain things. So it truly is an exhibition. It feels like, I'm not gonna lie, man. It feels like this is almost like a retirement fight for Tank. Like this is
Well,
a stat. I'm gonna
he
keep
was
this in a
he was hinting at that though.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like this is one of those things where he felt like, all right, you know what? I'm not gonna fight everybody else who's left for different reasons that I haven't already fought. So for this, I could go ahead and get this bag, and I can go ahead and set the sun though, bro. And I don't really see how you go back to fighting for $10 million if you're gonna fight him for something that has stipulations where you're not gonna get hurt, and you go ahead and you make 100 though, bro. It's like I don't see how Brock Lesnar would ever go back to the UFC if WWE is paying him $20 million a year to not get ground and pounded on in real life, though, bro. I don't know how you go back.
But is this good for the sport? Is this bad for the sport? Because I have my thoughts. This is okay. Let me say this. It's very, because I don't care that it's exhibition or not. You can still get touched. And my thing is that if Jake Paul wins, even though it ain't going on your record, people still saw what they saw.
Don't matter. Nothing to see. This is the thing about it. I think that in terms of sporting, right? I don't think that this matters. Like I don't think that anybody looks at any of his wins like they're real wins, right? Like I don't think, like, if he just, like, listen, if he knocked out Tank, right, then he should have, because he's gonna be about 30 to 40 pounds bigger than him.
But here's the problem, though, right? The reason why we didn't respect the Mike Tyson win, because Mike stopped throwing punches, right? And so that just weirded everybody out. But guess what? Everybody showed up to watch the fight. So what I'm saying is, if Jake is still a draw, and now you got Tank, people, because here's the thing: they said he don't fight real fighters. Now he fighting one, and
It don't matter. See, this is what I'm saying. So when we say it's that narrative isn't going to change. So you're fighting a real fighter, and you are basically a light heavyweight, and you're fighting someone who's a welterweight or a flyweight. I mean, there's at least a 50-pound difference for them. So the measurements aren't going to match up, which is why this would never be a fully sanctioned boxing match, though, right? So
right.
if you're Jake Paul, it's again, it's an event, right? He's like an event planner. He's like he's an event promoter, right? So I get that for him, it's gonna bring some eyes, and I do think that people are gonna watch it because, again, everybody's waiting for him to get whipped. But I think at the same time, if you're Tank and you know that, all right, this guy ain't going, I'm not gonna let him touch me. I've seen he's not fast enough to really touch him like that. And so if you Tank, you don't turn it down because it's 100 M's though, bro. And if you lose, it doesn't technically count on your record. If Jake Paul loses, it's not going to stop anybody from going to see him fight another time because you're going to think the same thing about him. So to me, it's just like a little meal. You just keep turning, same thing, turn and burn. I don't expect anything of, like I said, I don't think that he's going to get knocked out. I don't think nobody's going to get knocked out, though, bro, because the goal is to exhibit skills. It's not to knock somebody out, though, bro. None of his are like that. Has he knocked out anybody? Has Jake
Yeah.
Paul knocked out
Yes,
anybody?
yes.
Who's he hasn't knocked out a professional boxer though.
Let's just look at it. We can pull up his stuff. He has knocked out people before.
Didn't he fight like
I'm gonna
Tyson
tell you.
Fury's little brother?
Yeah, but he got beat by him though.
See that, but that's my thing. He got beaten, nobody cared because he didn't beat him bad enough. He didn't like knock him out and send him to the hospital. He didn't knock his head off. And it's like, nah, I like I said, I honestly think that people really only watch it as like an alternative to wrestling. Now, this is the thing about it. It's not like an alternative. To me, it's not an alternative, a sustainable alternative to boxing, right? Because in the end, it's only the draw. It's only going to be when Logan Paul, or Jake Paul boxes. It's not like he can
Right.
throw events for someone else, right? It's only his fights, though.
No, that's not true. He threw another fight. He threw the so
But none of them are the magnitude of his fights. That's what I'm saying.
people showed up for what I'm saying is okay. So the girls that was in his fight, the one where the girl got busted open over her eye, they had their own. They had their own a whole women's boxing thing, and it was Jake Paul's team that put that on, and it was on Netflix.
I guess what I said is that it's on Netflix. Sure, they can put one on, but the draw isn't gonna be
It
like
was at Madison Square Garden, bro. It was sold out. Why are you shaking
just
your
out that
head? It's
I didn't know. I didn't know, but I didn't know about it until it popped up in somebody. Like I couldn't tell you who fought. I couldn't tell you
you
none
may
of
not, but you also are like you and I are not like huge boxing fans either.
right. But and that's my point, though, right? My point is that like a good boxing event will bring out a casual, right? And but oddly enough, this is the problem that I think I have with boxing, right? Is that because Jake Paul will bring out a casual, right? Even though they know it doesn't count. And boxing don't even do that, right?
Right.
Boxing don't bring out. So I guess
But that's the
I
thing
don't
though.
know if
See,
it's good for boxing though.
but see, here's the thing. The girls fight thing that he did was all for real fighters. It wasn't no celebrity fights. It was all like championships was on every match, I think, except for one, was all championship bouts. And it was an all women's boxing event. It was sold out and it was at Madison Square Garden. They had Layla
Was
Ali.
this
Huh?
was this like WBC? Like what were the title? I didn't think nobody from
I'll
an
pull that up in a minute.
organization.
Let me tell you Jake
Yeah.
Paul's record. So right now he got 9 wins, 1 loss, and he has 7 KOs. Okay. And I don't know, like it won't show me. I don't think it'll show me who he knocked out. Here we go. So yeah, Julio Chavez Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so yeah, I mean some of these KOs is whack. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
okay, but let me go
You
to the
know what?
card.
What would impress me? This is what would impress me, right? What would impress me is if I saw him and Conor McGregor in an octagon and fighting with no gloves, UFC style, right? I think that would be something that I would watch. Now, I don't want to watch Conor McGregor and him box because I saw Conor McGregor and what he looked like against Floyd, and I think that I would watch that though, bro.
Okay, so the all women's card was Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 3, and that was their third fight. And let me see what bouts was on the line. So you had the Ultimate Super Lightweight Championship on the line for them, and then you had dang it ain't showing me. Let me see. It ain't showing me the other girls that was on the card because okay. Yeah, it ain't. Okay, here we go. So Alicia Baumgartner and Jennifer Marana, they fought for the undisputed super featherweight world championship, and then Savannah Marshall versus Shadasha Green, they fought for the IBF WBO ring super middleweight world title, and then Ellie Scrutiny and Yamatha Marsardo, they fought for the IBF, WBC, WBO ring super bantamweight world title. So I'm saying titles was on the line. And like I said, it wasn't no celebrity fights. It was all real fights. And all of these girls basically got the platform that they probably wouldn't get because ain't nobody checking for the women's boxing like that.
I suppose so, but just not. I'm a
But
casual
again,
boxing fan.
I get it. But at the same time, I thought it was dope because Jake Paul put it on. Like his team put it on, and it's on Netflix. So the thing is that it's got good numbers on it too.
Eh,
But I
eh.
mean, I'm just saying, what do you think about the is it who the fight that's coming up on the what is it, the 21st?
Canelo and Bud Crawford.
Yeah,
That is a fight that so again, here we go. So as a casual boxing fan, that does bring me out to go ahead. I gotta see that. Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I say it's different because like sure, like I'll watch it because the stakes matter. The stakes are high. But him versus Tank don't quite. Nah, there are no stakes to me at all. It's sheer entertainment. But I think that the entertainment is in the stakes with the Canelo and Bud Crawford. I think that my brother is the biggest Bud Crawford fan I apparently know. And I've never heard anybody talk so glowingly about him though, bro. And I think that he is just rooting for him hard. He swears by anybody, by anything that he think Bud Crawford is about to shock the world and really not just win, but whip him though, bro. Whip
yeah,
Canelo, man. And I was just like, "Woo."
that's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, that is a fight that I definitely want to. That's one that I would think. Oh yeah, I would want to have a fight party for that.
Yeah. You trying to do it at somebody's house, or you trying to go out somewhere?
You know what though, man? I would want to do something like that at the house, either somebody's house, my house, or somebody else's house. Yeah.
You been keeping up with the U.S. Open, the women?
Listen, so this is the crazy thing. I never keep up with tennis unless there's some element of drama. And I have been keeping up with the drama that start and listen, I don't listen, I'm not the only names that I know in all this is Naomi Osaka, right? And I only know her because she used to date the homeboy Corday, but I know that there was another girl. I think her name was like Tiffany Thomas. I want to say. I know her first name is Tiffany. I saw her going in a match with the European girl. I'm not sure what country she's from, but I think after she won, they exchanged some words, and I think that the black girl was just like, "Hey, listen, man. Hey, Ellis, you can tell me that story. At call me from your hotel. Call me from your house when you love, cause she on her way home though, bro.
Yeah,
And I think that they have those, and it was competitive energy, right? I think at the end of the black girl had this little exhilarating yell and everything. She was like, "Hell yeah!" And so I thought that it was just something, though, man, that, what I'm saying, that the other girl, Naomi Osaka, came to her defense. Was like, nah, man, this girl's super nice. And the comments that the European girls say, that's the last person you'd want to say those things about. Um, and so I thought that it was pretty cool how she came to the defense and then eventually wound up, I believe, beating her as well in the match. Um,
well,
but now I don't I like
the big
mhm.
story. There's two big storylines that came out that I heard. One obviously is Naomi Osaka beating Coco Gauff, who was like, she's like what, 18, 19 years old.
Coco Gauff. Let me
Coco
correct
Gauff.
you because she's from Atlanta and they don't play about Coco Gauff out here.
Hey, I'm okay with being corrected. I didn't know I didn't
Okay.
know her name. I didn't hear her. I didn't know who she was until they was announcing the match
Mm.
with Naomi
Coco
Osaka.
Gauff, listen, Coco Gauff is a thing out here though,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yes.
So yeah, that was huge. I know a lot of people was checking for that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that happened, there was a chick playing. I don't know her name, but I guess apparently she was in the middle of a match and her ex came and sat behind her bench. And so she was getting ready to serve and she just started bawling. Like, well, she started crying, right?
Hmm.
And so the judge was like, yo, 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 you all right? And so they had to take a pause for a minute so she could gather herself or whatever. And after the match was over, I think she ended up winning the match. But after the match was over, they said, "Listen, she was like, listen, my ex showed up. He's been popping up at different spots, and of course, people is like, dang, whatever happened, it triggered her. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because she saw him and just broke." And so that was another one of the kind of the big storylines that was happening out there. But I guess they had to pause the match for a minute and then come back to resume. But she did end up winning the match. But Yeah.
I think that that's real goofy though, man. That as a guy, you just been kind of like low key stalking and
Talking.
popping on them. And I don't know the terms of their breakup. I mean, they're an ex. He's an
Exactly.
ex for a reason. But the fact that you showing when you know that we talk about the stakes, what's all involved, and the stakes being at the highest for her. And so at her event, you come to kind of disrupt that. That's corny to me, though, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That's somebody who hasn't been hit in the mouth to know better. Like somebody didn't check that, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy because, and like you said, we could just only speculate on what actually happened within their relationship, but enough for her, even if it was just a bad breakup to where she thought he was the one, and he showed up. Like, ain't no telling. But the point is, like you said, why would you do that knowing what's on the line for her? Why would you even be in a visual eyesight of where? But and the fact that she said he's been popping up at different events. Like, this ain't the first
Yeah,
time.
that's
Like, it's one
corny to
thing if
me.
it's just like, look, I love her. We didn't work out, but I still want to support her. You could have sat somewhere else where she couldn't see you or something. But the fact that you was like kind of low key wanting to be, visible where she could know that you was there. Yeah, that's kind of corny.
Now, I think it's corny to me when people do that. Like to me, I like that's like you trying to step in on a shine a little bit. You trying to make somebody else's platform and their stage about you, given that particular moment. I think that's so whack to me though when people do that.
Yeah.
Like I put that right on up there when like when you go to like the graduations and then you see like the parents that go out there to make a scene about their child graduating, and I know that they mean well, but when you make it so much about you that it's not even about the kid, you want to get the like you ain't got to step in on that man's shine like that though. And so I think that that's where like we don't know what's going on between her and old dude, but at the same time, I think it's just kind of corny that you would try to step in on a potential moment that could be one of the biggest times of her career that you want to make it about you. Sit down somewhere, have several seats at that.
Yeah. All right, bro. Let's get into it. You got to give me the backstory on all this goings on with the boy Gunna and Thug.
Oh my gosh, Ace Kennedy.
Hmm.
Okay, this I honestly and truly am reevaluating a lot of things, and I might have to issue out some apologies about some comments that I previously said that are based around this.
Okay.
I've been on this is the second podcast that I've been apologizing on, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so apparently, you know what I'm saying, the boy Thug locked up. In the midst of him being locked up on some of his conversations that he had while he was in jail, he had several conversations with different folks. And one of the so it's those phone calls are recorded. I'm assuming that you know that those
Yeah.
phone
They,
calls
they
are
say them when
recorded,
you
right?
they
It
say it
says,
very clearly in the beginning.
right?
This call is being monitored. Absolutely.
Right, those calls are being monitored. So what's been crazy about that though, man, is that a lot of the conversations now have been being released. I think it's out there for the public now. And some of the very specific things that are coming out, excerpts of it are like mind blowing because it would almost be like if me and you were talking, right?
Hmm.
And let's just say it's not the podcast, but it, it's conversations that I would tell you in private, right? That could be my thoughts about people in general, right? People that you and I might know, and I'm telling you something that I've never told them before. And then them finding out those things because hey, this conversation that I thought was a private conversation with you was actually recorded though, right? So so one of the things that's been kind of interesting is that they were talking about his perspective on Gunna. Because
Hmm.
I've always thought when we talked about whether or not Gunna, people's like, oh, Gunna is a rat, Gunna is a rat. I looked at that and said, I didn't necessarily see Gunna as a rat because I thought that he would have got up there as part of being with their crew and basically under the Young Thug umbrella that he said what they said was allowable. Say this so you can go ahead and get off though, bro. Ain't no reason for both of us to be over here.
Right.
And I think that one of the things that's crazy about that is that I think that Gunna had this conversation specifically with 21 Savage, where they were talking about, well, listen, the technicalities of that, right? Basically saying that it's YSL a gang. And so Gunna got out there and said that. And they asked him specifically, do you know members that have been part of this trial that have basically furthered the gang affiliation and things like that? And I think that those were the things that Gunna said yes to. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think that Gunna would have said yes to I'd like to believe that Gunna wouldn't have said yes to those things unless it wasn't something that I thought that someone else would have told, not just his lawyers and everything, right? But I think that when I hear something like that, bro, I think, all right, you know what? They all crew. Thug would have said, "Go ahead, man, get on now. I'm gonna hold this down, whatever, whatever." And I guess apparently that wasn't the case, though, right? And so I think that Thug had some issue with that, right?
Right.
One of the things that's also a big point of contention is that in these tape conversations, they brought up previous investigations for Thug, where Thug is dropping names about people when it comes. There was always this big thing about the car rental and driving around and the YSL Woody. And so they're talking about specific things that Thug had basically told in his old investigation, not just the RICO charge, the ones from years ago where he was dropping names and dropping clues to them boys way back then. So then it's like at that point, everybody was like, yo, what business does Thug have to call anybody a rat when you was dropping clues way back then before this YSL RICO charge even trial even started? And one of the things, and the new stuff just keeps coming out because he's locked up. So he is just getting out everything he feels. Like I saw something that said that this boy was like low key mad because Kendrick
I
didn't
don't
wasn't
get a
doing
verse.
features.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kendrick wasn't giving the verses out. Like, and I don't think Kendrick apparently charges for the verses. It's like it's relationships with him. It's like if I rock with you, I'll do something with you, and that's just that, though, man. But he was basically saying like, "Yo, man, homeboy need to for him to stay hot. He need to go ahead and do a verse with Moneybag Yo. He need to do a verse with Lil Durk." And I'm gonna assume that this was before They Not Like Us, though, right? Came out because that's how long the trial's been going, though, bro. And I think that one of the things that people have been blown away by is how much chatting this boy Young Thug has been doing behind the scenes when publicly he's made it appear like I've stood 10 toes down. Like I got out of this on my own because I didn't give up no information, basically, though, man. And based off of these tapes, he is spilling the beans out here, though, bro.
So what apologies was you trying to get off?
So this is my thing. I think that one of the apologies, two apologies, I think I might need to give up. And
All
I
right.
can't believe I'm going to say the first one, the second one, actually. The first one is this, though, man. Almost was questioning, like, yo, like when we talk about ratting, because again, ratting is the cardinal sin, right? When it comes to hip hop and supposedly black culture, bro. And Doug, I think that I realize that these dudes don't go by the same rules that apparently existed back then. And it's not to say that I'm from the street, so I live by those codes, but you're familiar with them, right? You're familiar with that if you're doing crimes with someone that, hey, if we get caught, you don't tell. That's the whole thing, though, right? And so I looked at that and I said I had to think about that. I'm saying, yo, um, if I'm Gunna's dad, right, and I know that my son isn't in the gang, and I know that my son grew up in grew up with both his parents in the household, right? What would you be telling your son, right? Your son if he was caught up in something that you knew that he had no direct involvement in, right?
Right.
And that you know for sure that hey, when it talks about gang, you know what I'm saying? Like what would as a parent, what would you be telling your child? Not just what you would be doing, but what would you be telling your child, right? So I looked at that and I'm thinking like Landon, if I'm telling Landon, I might be like, listen, bro, you've never been to jail before, right? So you don't know what going to prison is gonna look like either, though, bro. So you might think you can do a certain number of years, but you ain't built for it because I know that. I raised you, so I know what you are not built for, though, bro. And I never looked at it that way from a parent's perspective with how young Gunna is, and maybe someone also urging him to say, hey, you need to cooperate within reason. But I just thought that it was the cooperation though, man. And so I feel like that the apology that I owe is also a little not so much to Gunna, but maybe to this young generation, because I don't think that they should be held to the same standard that our generation, who I think, not that we came up with the code, but we were that we that our people who were street dudes moved according to that particular code.
But if he's not even a street though, dude, does he is he even supposed to like is he even required?
See, if you're gonna benefit, if so, this is my thing. If you're gonna benefit from the street code, I think that there is some obligation that you abide by those rules. So if you wanted to feel like you get the influence by you being affiliated with it, I would think so. But again, what am I telling my son? Nah, I'm telling my son I want you to come home, bro. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So I don't know. But here's the other here's the person that I think that I owe an apology to. You ready for this, man?
I'm listening.
I think that I might owe Takashi 69 an apology, bro.
Oh, that's okay. I got to hear this. Why you say that?
Okay. I think that one of the things that by that measure, right? By saying that these new kids, this generation, we shouldn't expect for them to abide by the same rules that street dudes did from our generation. And not to say that we're street dudes, but dudes who are our age who were street dudes. These were different things. And I think that the rules are different now, right? So because I think that I feel that way about Gunna, I feel like that should also apply to Takashi as well, right? Because why should I expect Takashi to abide by rules that apply to people of our age and then say, well, Gunna don't have to though. That means that Takashi shouldn't necessarily have to as well, right? But then to take it a step further, I think that where Takashi looked at it a little different is he said, listen, I never told on anybody who is a friend of mine, right? The
Hmm.
people who I basically told on were people who were trying to extort me, the people who basically was knocking down my girl. These were people who basically just said no. They were not just necessarily, and again, I don't know to what depth that it's like if we were committing these crimes together, then to me that makes it ratting when you say we were committing crimes together and I gave up information. That's the part that I think's ratting. But he's saying my moral compass of my ratting is that I never told on a friend of mine. I never told a friend of mine, and these people weren't my friends, basically, though, right? They were, and I don't know if they were just gang, right? They just said, all right, you know what? But I feel like he said I saw an interview with him, and he said, "Why it feels like with me, the goalpost is here, but for everybody else, it gets moved. Like it gets moved." And I think part of the reason why the goalpost seemingly gets moved is because I think that more people just don't like him like that. I think
Hmm.
he's not as popular as he thinks. And I think that the other part about it too, right, is I don't think that his music is as good as he thinks because in the end, right, Gunna came out, made a bomb album, and it was like he had never been more popular, right, than he is right now. And outside of that, though, right, touring, better than he ever had. Investments better than he ever had. Fashion game. His influence, like he's never been a bigger artist than now. And I think that it's because at the end of the day, he hasn't responded to any of the stuff that people have basically said. And he's kept his head down and just made good music, right? And to at least to people who are fans of his. And I just think that people who are Gunna fans have never been bigger Gunna fans than they are now, though, bro. Whereas I just think that Takashi I don't think that his music is as popular like that. And it doesn't help that he basically said he came home and tried to brand himself as the rat that got released, though, bro. So
Yeah.
I do owe him an apology from the standpoint of thinking like, no, you're a flat out rat if you were committing crimes with a group of people and you told, because the code when you're doing crimes is that if we get caught, you just don't talk, though, right?
Mhm.
But I think that these people who he was doing the crimes with were people of our age, right? And he isn't. So that's where I think that it just the rules don't apply to him like I thought that they would. And so for that reason, though, man, I'm gonna say that I might be giving him the pass, though, bro. That was long-winded, but I'm saying that I don't.
You don't have the
He
same
told
expectation.
I no longer have the expectations, though, bro. That's what it is. I was wrong in my expectations for this generation for what I would consider to be street dudes. Now, I think, right, that he is technically or was more, I guess, of a street dude than I would think Gunna would be, but I just don't think that the rules apply. And that's where I stand on that, bro.
Okay. Like you said, long-winded, but I get it.
Long-winded because I was listen, I trashed him. I trashed him specifically though, bro. But I'm gonna be honest with you though, bro. I saw Joe Budden say that boy Young Thug stock is plummeting, bro. And I'm gonna be honest, not just that, his character now is being questioned. But even the music that he's been putting out, it ain't been catching like that though, right? And he did have the one song with Future that I thought was fire song. And I thought, okay, he might be able to bounce back though, man. But even that didn't stay for very long though, man. And so I don't know, bro. I like to believe that all it takes is the right song to put you back on though, bro. But Gunna had it. Gunna got out, got back in that lab, cranked out an album that to his people would say is a classic, and that was enough for him, though, bro. And surely I would think Thug would be able to do the same thing, though, man. But I just think that this is a definite stain on the Young Thug music legacy, though, bro.
Yeah. Yep. That's
I've
that's
been I've been watching it. And I got long winded on this one only because you know
you
how
got
like the
invested.
algorithm is. You know, once you see it, and then now it's in your face every time. Anytime there's a new wrinkle. So yeah, man, like all these new facets of these recordings pop up though, man. When it comes to Thug in particular, though, man, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Them leaked audios is not doing him any favors, bro.
Not at all, man.
Especially when you got 21 Savage like actually telling him like, bro, you got the keys to his career on what you could basically, tell people, but you holding on to that.
And listen, you know what though? I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. Throughout all of these leak conversations, it definitely made me respect 21 Savage that much more. Because here's the thing about it, right? He could have very well easily been like a lot of these folks who just jumped out the window and started just trashing that boy Gunner, right? And I think that he didn't. And I think that the one thing that I appreciate about 21 is that 21 at least wasn't a yes man to Thug. He was like, nah, I think that was wrong. I think that this is where I disagree with you on or whatever, whatever. And now looking back at it, it also makes me appreciate that he didn't pick a side either when it came to Metro Boom and them having an issue with Drake and everything like that. And he kind of stayed, 10 toes down on his position though, man. But definitely made me respect him and being a friend to those guys a whole lot more though, man, because it could have been very easy for him to be one-sided on those kind of issues though, man. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What you got up for the week?
Man, so this week I am finally back recording though, man. And I think one of the things that's been so different, man, is that Doug, I feel like my new I got some new plugins and new sounds, right? And I think that one of the things that I'm noticing is that my sounds, I'm still trying to get the volumes down. So, like some of my beats, when I'm playing around, when I'm starting to mix my old sounds with new sounds or new plugins with old sounds, like the volume, the loudness of them, basically, it's kind of it's been all over. Sometimes it's steady and it's good, and then once I mix something, I'll throw some drums on something, and the drums is real low. And some of it is because I haven't been able to mix in my headphones and in my monitors like I typically would do. And so I've noticed though, man, that when I've been doing a couple of mixes on some of my current songs that I did new beats for, and now I'm back recording. Now that same issue with the volumes I'm seeing with my vocal volumes and also my the actual music. And so it's been an interesting kind of thing of trying to see, all right, how can I marry the two? So I think that this week I'm glad that I'm back recording, but I think that it's also given me an opportunity to really learn for some of the more technical aspects of my mixes, basically, though, man. So I'm looking to do that more. I'm hoping to finish a couple of songs this week, though, man. But the good thing is that I think I got some pretty good recordings, and now it's just a matter of getting them all mixed down. And so I'm gonna be in the lab real heavy this week, though.
That's what's up.
It's your birthday tomorrow, though, man. What you got? What you got planned, bro?
Nothing planned. I'm it's gonna be a regular day tomorrow. I still am, my thing is I love going to Six Flags for my birthday. I think I'm gonna end up going to Six Flags in October for Fright Fest. But got my birthday pictures done yesterday, so I'm gonna be posting them tomorrow. I bought a couple of new toys, so I'm waiting for them to come through. So yeah, I'm not really doing anything like that. I didn't plan like no dinner or anything. Like I'm just celebrating me, bro.
Going out there for Fright Fest.
Yeah.
When you gotta let me know when that might
It's
be
in
something
October.
that might be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that might be something I might be interested in trying to pull a little hop out.
All right. Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we are the Slash Brothers from ATL to OKC. Thank y'all for joining us every Tuesday at 6 Central Standard Time, and we will see y'all next time. We out this thing.
The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
Can you dig it, sucker?